to the Wolfkeeper, a show that's just about everything that you could maybe think about, everything that you can feel that's inside of your heart. What I need for you to do right now is spend the next hour relaxing. Just stop your day before you go into 12 o'clock. And I just want y'all to close your minds, open your hearts, and relax and go on this journey with me. It's a beautiful place that you're about to go, because I want to make you feel, I want to just open you up and think about some things you never really thought about. Right now, the Wolfkeeper. Come on. Good morning, y'all. Come on. It's the Wolfkeeper show. Get ready. Come on, let's go. Yeah. Woo. Yeah. It's the Wolfkeeper show. Your boy, Torriano Sanzoni. Yeah. Chanelli Nell. My boy Tyrone Scott somewhere rocking the Doogie Dogs. Denzel's in his house. Shacky Shack. And for all the people out there that love us, we love you back. Thank you all. Get ready for an amazing show with the Wolfkeeper. Get ready. Here we go. All the people out there that love us, we love you back. And even if you don't love us, we love you back. And we love you more than you can ever love yourself, because I'm nothing but love. And today, I'm giving a big wolf howl out to someone that I love when people just change you instantly when you meet them for the first time. So, Laurie handlers, you're going to get a big old That's the
Thank you.
Yo, Chanelli Nell.
Good morning. Hey, Laurie.
Hey.
Laurie.
How are you?
Changed my life immediately. Chanelli Nell. Some of our favorite conversations are about sex. Because Chanelli Nell is always asking me questions about her complex relationships, things of that nature. So I'm like, I'm her Dr. Phil. I'm like, I get her through life, puberty, and everything.
He's so experienced, right? He's so experienced. So I'm just new to all of this, and he just lets me in on it. So,
but the thing, Laura, I'm gonna let you talk, but I just gotta pump you up because I originally, for those that don't know, a fun fact is that I went to school. I wanted to be a psychologist and I wanted to be a sex therapist. And my aunt Tawana, I don't hold this against you. I don't hate you for this.
I remember her saying they don't make money, and if you're gonna make money, you got to go be a psychiatrist, which I wasn't trying to do. I just wanted to. I was great at relationships. People always told me stuff, and I like talking about sex. So, fast forward, I would become a dog trainer, and who would ever thought that people talk to me about relationships and sex? Like I'm like the beautician. People tell me everything. I've heard everything, right? And then I started realizing that the dogs can tell if a person is cheating. We'll talk about that some more. A dog, it affects a dog if you haven't had sex. We're going to talk about that some more. But take the dog out of the equation. You know, the tattoo on my arm says the dog is the final manifestation that's going on in your life. And Laurie, you've built a career on changing and helping people with one of the most essential parts of our life, but one of the biggest things people don't like talking about in public, next to money. And shout out to my friend out there, Galit Salik, who said money is an emotional experience. But if money is an emotional experience, I mean, baby Jesus, how much is sex? Sex is more than money, but people don't talk about it. They don't like to talk about it. We are afraid to talk about it.
And they're totally connected. Sex and money are totally connected.
You know what you're going to get for that, Laurie?
What?
And we like to say here at the Wolfkeeper Show, you just made our quote book. So Chanel Nell, can you please put that down? Sex and money.
Sex and money.
They are connected.
They're totally connected.
Like we want to get away from sex and we can't. I mean, it's like it's in the fabrics of even our presidential election. Everyone's out here, Creepy Joe with him with these weird little pictures and memes of him touching women, and then Donald Trump saying grab them in the, you know what I mean? So Billy Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, Kennedy and Monroe. I mean, we just like W. Bush and cheerleaders from Houston. I mean, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
So, Laurie, I mean, you changed. Let me just I'm going to let you give your own definition and bio. But in a nutshell, you made me realize it's okay to, one, talk publicly about sex, to embrace sex. And sex is like food. Yes, when I got off the phone with you, and I could have kept you on the phone forever. First time we talked almost a month ago, I could have kept you on the phone forever. I got off the phone thinking that it's fueling your body, right? McDonald's or something healthy, right? Fueling your body with a toxic relationship you don't want to be in, and you're having sex, but you're not happy with it, or having great, amazing sex. It's food. You just choose what kind of fuel, but you need it though. You cannot not have sex. You need it for the body. You made me realize that. Not that, not with like having this like issue with not having sex, but other than having sex, having great sex, and how it affects your overall well-being and happiness and everything else. So can you just give us your bio and your resume of who Laurie Handler is?
Well, yeah, so I've been teaching Tantra or some form of sexuality, sex education since 1997, 1996, something like that.
Okay.
But I was always, before that, I knew that was what I had to do, but I didn't know what it was called or how to do that.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm the girl that I used to ask the boys questions, and then I would go into the girls' locker room and tell all the girls, this is what this is what that is, so that they knew. And in college, I always, I'm the person people came to and talked to about it. Yeah, so I'm an international sex and happiness coach. I travel all around the world when we're not in COVID, teaching thousands of people about normalizing sex in their life, making it something that's normal, not something that's hidden, and letting go of shame, guilt, blame, trauma, all the things that come with it. I'm an Amazon best-selling author. I'll hold up my book. I wrote a book, Sex and Happiness.
Sex and happy.
And
I love that.
yeah, and it's now on Audible, and it's on Kindle, and it's in print. I've produced and starred in 3 films that have to do with sex, and I've been podcasting for 12 years.
Wow.
So yeah, and my podcast is also Sex and Happiness. That's why I call myself Sex and Happiness Coach.
And Laurie,
Because
you asked me
what?
how did you change my life? Come on, you're like the hero of the heroes. You've been talking about sex professionally since the 90s to the masses, to the world. I mean, what more can a person ask for? That's an amazing life.
Yeah, it is. Listen, not everybody gets to do this, and a lot of people are doing it these days. Not that many were doing it when I started. There were a few that were better known than me.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, it's a great life. I get to talk to people about how they got here, how they got created, and then how they're going to keep creating, because sex energy is creation, and that's it. And if you're tight about it, you can't create. You can't. You're blocked.
Hallelujah.
You know.
Laurie, in the Black church, we call it signifying. That means we agree.
Yeah.
Signifying. Right, Sister Chanel. I mean, I'm just telling you right now, there's going to be a lot of signifying on my part. A lot of amens and hallelujahs. Like,
that's fine.
This is your subject.
It's how you got here. Why? So, Laurie, let me ask you this. Why are people so afraid to talk about how they got here? I mean, you got here through sex. 2 people that at some point in time, they liked each other.
Right.
Minus trauma, obviously, because there's people that got here.
Yeah, there's people who get raped and they didn't like each other. But for the most part, people find each other, they have an attraction, and they get together.
At one point in time, we liked each other enough to make these little humans, right? They turn into big humans. Right.
Yes.
We don't like to talk about that process.
Well, they were taught not to. So let's come back for 2 seconds, and I need to say something. It's like 400 billion to 1 that you or I or Chanel, is that Chanel, Sister Chanel?
Yes.
Sister Chanel.
Okay. It is 400 billion to 1 that any one of us would actually be here.
What?
As a result of 2 people having sex.
Stop it. Wait, are you telling me that?
Wait, say that again?
400 billion to 1 were the odds of getting here?
Yes. Most sperms do not.
Little swimmer
yeah.
getting to egg, 400 billion
to 1.
To 1.
So that means that you're a miracle. And I'm a miracle. And we're supposed to be here. And Chanel, you're a miracle because the chances of us being here, the odds are against. The odds are against a human being being created.
We're supposed to be here.
That's right.
So that's number.
I am feeling that, girl. Sister Laurie, say it again. You are exposed because a lot of people, and this is where sex education comes in. This because we haven't even talked about intimacy or the intricacies of like actual intercourse. We're just talking about 2 people beat the odds,
right?
Huge odds, 400 billion to 1.
It's something like that. It's some ridiculously big number that's in the billions. I could yell out the door to my partner and he would tell us the exact number.
Hey, Rejoice, I'm going to yell, Rejoice, can you find out the exact stat on that and throw it on Podbeam? I want to know if that's I've heard this before.
Yeah.
There.
So,
which is
that said,
because you're supposed to be here. You hear that stuff? But how
yes.
I think this is for black kids out there. I'm just saying, I'm black, so I'm an advocate for black folks.
That's fine.
But so many think that they're not supposed. I saw this little girl the other day. I say little girl, but because it could be my kid. she was so depressed. And she's like, I've done all this stuff. I'm getting to college, and I'm like, all this COVID. I'm not like, can't get a job right now. You mean? And she said something so powerful, like, I don't even know if this is even worth it. I'm just like, what? Like, just life. I'm like, oh shit, don't say that, girl. Especially not you, my Uber driver. You need to focus. Like, but you're supposed to be here. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, sex education, just because it's so much more. Does that make sense, Chanel? You feel me? Am I just doing
Yeah.
I'm like,
People just get caught up in the pressures of life, so I'm sure that's probably where she was coming from. But yeah, we're supposed to be here, and I'm big on everything happens for a reason. So,
Laurie, you that's just that part right there of getting people unstuck. I can't even. I mean, I should have recorded when we first talked. I should have recorded it because you were literally throwing thing after thing after thing after thing at me that was like making me realize, like, you're like that right there. You're right. If we stop this right now, you're absolutely right. You're supposed to be here.
You're supposed to be here, or you wouldn't have made it. And the sperm wouldn't have fertilized the egg. It just wouldn't have happened. So no matter how many times people have sex, that doesn't always result in a child. And when it results in a child and the child lives and makes it through the birth canal, et cetera, and your aunt, like your mother and your aunt are twins. So two came at the same time, like they're supposed to be here.
Wow.
And when you consider the odds are against it and that you're a miracle that you're even here, this is powerful mojo energy.
Wow.
So when people degrade sex or they don't want to talk about sex, or even the church tells you, that's not what we talk about, and shames people, only this part is valuable. The rest down here is sin. When they do that to us, that's taking our creative life force, which is what got us here, and saying it's cheap. It's no good.
Wow.
And the fact is that that's our creative energy. Like if you make a podcast or you train a dog or you write a book, that's all your sex. That's your sexual energy.
So two things. You just made me think about one. My friend Star, shout out to Star. She always says this. I knew when I could feel it when I conceived. Like, she gets super spiritual about it. She's like, I know. Like, she said, number one, I was on a mission that night to conceive, right? And she says, two, I felt, she's super spiritual. She's very, very spiritual. She said, I could feel this explosion when the sperm touched the egg. Do you think that's true?
I think people can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if they're in tune, they can. If they're not in tune, they can. I mean, it's just like duh. But, we had sex and duh, that was good.
And what I think we trivialize the fact that we can make babies. I mean, like, we're just like, oh, that was an accident. And basically, statistically, it was not an accident. You were supposed to make that baby because obviously we know I know friends that they can't get pregnant, right? So obviously we know that there's people, and then we know, there's been times where we had unprotected sex, Chanel, and
Soriano.
I want you to get right with life, Chanel, and whatever. I'm just throwing your whole personal life out there. It's okay.
Don't be telling
Laurie,
on
he wants
her
me.
on
He
air.
wants me. He wants me. That's all.
Fascinated by Chanel's sex life, though. I'm always I live through Chanel and her.
No, he does not.
Right? But
Laurie, he wants me. But that's a whole nother episode.
People have unprotected sex and then they don't get pregnant.
No.
Right. So when it happens, it was supposed to happen, and what a miracle! And so every day, if you are here, you're walking around, you're breathing, you should just be thanking baby Jesus that you beat all the odds. You're a healthy human. What do you think about why would we be mean to each other? Because we're all miracles. We literally are. Like, why do we spend so much time shooting? It took your mama 9 months to make it, and then someone's over here just wants to take it in less than milliseconds. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with you?
I have never understood that. I never will understand that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not the way I came up. I came up to value life, and that's what I do.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you this: the thing you just made me think about too. You talked about in the church. I grew up in Catholicism, good old Catholic church. Sister Joanne, shout out to you wherever you're at. Sister Armella, Sister DePaul, right? A whole bunch of nuns. You know, a whole bunch of white women in black cloths from like kindergarten. So like we're talking like 1978 till 1988 until I graduated. Good old nuns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we heard things like, if you masturbate, you're gonna go blind, right? If you get married before sex, you're going straight to hell. If you get divorced, you're going to hell. I mean, just these things that correlated to sex and hell and going blind.
Right.
I mean, and even now to this day, I mean, there are certain religions that you can't do certain things, or hell is always the answer. I mean, how does that affect us growing up, and people have, like, in your years of experience, how many people would you say like are dealing with religious entanglement and religious pressures and things of that nature regarding their sex life?
Many people, I'd say most people, and depending upon the religion that they were steeped in, the trauma is deeper. So I don't want to start bashing religions. I'm not a religious person myself.
Bash away. Wolfkeeper Wednesday. We can do what we want.
Yeah. I grew up, my parents didn't make me do that, so I didn't do that. I still had hang-ups about sex.
Did you grow up religious? Are you Catholic? What are you?
No, my family was Jewish, and my father was an atheist.
So
and my father...
Jewish?
I grew up Jewish, sort of.
What does that mean? I don't even know what it means, Laurie.
My father was like an atheist agnostic, and he won. So my mother wanted us to go to Hebrew school, and she wanted us to do all that stuff. And I didn't want to go. Actually, I wanted to go water skiing on Saturdays with my Catholic friends. And so my father said she doesn't have to go. And so I didn't go.
Okay.
So I didn't get any training, really. I didn't get any training. I mean, I grew up knowing that people were prejudiced against Jews, and I knew that, there were things told to me that were not wonderful. My grandmother once said to me, if you meet anyone who has a cross on, they're going to hate you.
Wow.
And I said, almost all my friends have that on.
Wow.
I didn't, like, I just love people, so I didn't take too much of that seriously, but I didn't grow up like steeped in religion. And I've had students who are Muslim, Catholic, born again, all kinds of different things. I've had people who were brought up with no religion. Everyone has sexual trauma, but depending upon what religion you have, it's more.
And it can carry over to other aspects of your life.
Listen, early in my career, I had a nun and a priest who jumped. And they came to me because they didn't know how to be with each other. They left, and they wanted to be together, and they didn't know how to be together. Even though your body knows how to be together, but their heads couldn't let them.
That's interesting. Yeah. They couldn't physically kiss, like they didn't know how to the mechanics.
Yeah, they just didn't know how to rid themselves of the guilt of leaving the cloth.
Gotcha.
And then wanting to be related to each other. And I said, you came to a Jewish girl from New York. Like, why are you coming to me? And they said, we're coming to you because we think you know about life. And we think that you can really help us get over our previous life.
I love that. Jewish girl from New York helping Catholicism.
Yeah.
So I want to bring it back to my philosophy is this, and I posted it on my Instagram, my private Instagram page, that I believe that I think I wrote 90%. I think I wrote 95%. It's one of those. 90% of issues of the world are sexually related. I truly believe that. I think that I can.
Why?
I think that there's so much trauma out there. Like, I think, like, with George Floyd and these police officers, you know what I mean? Like, I think that there was, like, sexual tension there. I think that, like, black men and white men, I mean, you're talking about 500 plus years of black men being raped by white men through the buck breaking farms, you know, and that's something that we don't talk about. That you were a black male at a certain age, you were going to get raped, period. And it was probably going to be by a white guy, or you're going to be sodomized. Either way it goes, you're going to get raped. It was a form of war. But whether we like it or not, there's this relationship, twisted or not, that was forged through sex. Black women in America, at some point in time, you were going to get raped. Period.
Period.
You mean, and that happened not for even 80 years, not even for 100 years. It happened for 400 plus. I mean, right now across the world, rape is being used as a form of warfare. You mean, we have, you know, people with all kind of just different things they want to talk about sex, but they can't get it out. And I love this podcast. I love doing it. I just always follow my heart, and I thank you for doing it. People like ask, you know, don't you dog train? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing a talk show? But I wanted people to know how many amazing people that I know and that I meet, and Laurie, you specifically, because breaks my heart, because she took her life 2 years ago. A great friend of mine, she hung herself. But I remember one day going over her house, help her with a chihuahua, and she was so upset about her husband had on the side of the bed the Hampton magazine. And I looked at it, I'm like, it was probably the most vanilla magazine I've ever seen in my life. And she's like, but look, you can tell that he turned to this particular page, and it was like some women in bikinis, and it wasn't even like G-string bikinis. It was like Hampton, New York. It was like 1D. It was not anything. There's all kind of stuff he could have been looking at.
It wasn't sexual or provocative.
She was like, I just don't understand why he'd be looking at these things and not looking at me. And I'm just sitting, the Chihuahua's looking at me. I'm looking at the Chihuahua. I mean, I'm looking at her. She's crying. And I'm not even making this up. This is like one of many conversations I've had with my friends. They trust me. But she was so, then she goes on, we never have sex. You know what I mean? And da-da-da, he's not home. Da-da-da-da. And I'm upset. And then he is home. He's reading this magazine, looking at these women. And I mean, part of that energy, the Chihuahua was very dominant and aggressive towards the husband. Part was like, duh, of course. But it's not really duh, of course, because the dog's the final manifestation of what's going on in your life. So what do you know, I see that so often with people that are in hurtful situations, relationship-wise, and that not just sex, but just in general. You know, what's your stance on scenarios like that, as far as people being stuck but not realizing that they're stuck due to sexual frustration?
Well, first of all, I don't know that they were stuck due to sexual frustration. It sounds like she was frustrated and they had an impasse of some kind, but I don't know what the impasse was.
She had insecurities or something.
Yeah, I think we're taught geometry and algebra and trigonometry, and we're taught English and grammar, and we're taught foreign languages, but we're not taught anything about human beings and how to relate.
Yeah.
We should have a course. We should have relating courses.
I love it.
And especially now, I mean, you know, I grew up before there were cell phones and all these things, but I remember seeing kids with these in their ears, or those things you have on your ears, and you know, everybody's in their device now. They're relating even less. So I don't think people know how to relate. I don't think they know how to fight. I don't think they know how to speak their truth.
What do you mean by that? I don't think they know how to fight. What does that mean?
People do not know how to say, I have a complaint. I don't like this and this about what's happening in our relating, and I request that we change it to this and this. People don't know how to say that without blowing up. They don't know how to, like, they just, you say something to somebody, they take it personally, they blow up, they fly off the handle. There's no, people don't know how to communicate. And then sexually, they don't know how to say, could you do this? I would really like you to do this for me and that for me. They don't know how to make clear requests about sexuality. Women aren't supposed to say those things, and men don't talk about it. So men don't learn it anywhere. Who do men talk to about learning about sex? They don't. They watch porn if they're going to learn something. And women think men know, and men don't know anything. So men just try stuff. And if they try the stuff they saw on porn, it's ridiculous because that's not educational. That's just entertainment for entertainment's sake. So nobody, so not only can I not say to you, if I'm in a relationship with you, I can't say to you, Toriano, you know, I request this. I don't like how things are going, blah, blah, blah. I'm just assuming. And then you go, what? What do you mean? You know, and then if I say, you know, I didn't like the way you touched me the other night. It was a little too hard. Could you slow down a little bit? Da, da, da. You're like, oh, you're saying I don't know what I'm doing?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying I want it a little different, but as a woman, I'm not even supposed to say that.
Right.
So, but it's like, it's a preference though. It's almost like, how do you like your meat? Do you like it well? You know what I'm saying? So I don't see how anybody could be offended by it. You know, if I'm saying, hey, touch me this way or do this that way, it's a preference.
Right. Okay. So we got that established. Now I want to turn it around. Okay. Now I want to like spin it 180 degrees.
Okay.
If I teach a class on sexuality and a couple is in the class, usually the women are so micromanaging the men these days that the men can't get anything right. So we have like polarities on both sides that aren't working.
And when you say they're micromanaging the guys, in what ways are they micromanaging the guys?
Well, in the last 10, 15 years, when in the absence of, let me go back and give you a little theory. In the absence of the sacred masculine, what do I mean by sacred masculine? Right. In the truest sense of the masculine holds space without judgment. The masculine
holds space without judgment. Wow.
Right. And then the masculine is informed by the feminine. Like the masculine goes, oh, she likes me. Let me see if I like her. Oh, she's having a lot of emotions. Oh, let me see if I can hold the space for her. Let me see if I can move with her. Let me see if I can adapt to her. But these days we have a lot of angry women. And a lot of women who've been, you know, managing everything, because in the absence of the sacred masculine, women will be both.
Hold on, Laurie. Hallelujahs. You gotta say it again. You guys break. You said women are holding on to that whole phrase right there. That's
like, okay, the feminine is the receptive and in the flow. And I'm not, listen, by the way, if you're listening to this show and you're transgender, you're bi, you're gay, or LBGTQ, any of those things, you have masculine and feminine inside of you. So I'm not speaking about male body, woman body people. Don't take offense. I'm just talking about the energies of polarity.
Right.
If there's no sacred masculine around, which there hasn't been, there's been crooks and liars and manipulators and dictators and whatever. Like there hasn't been like too many like amazing masculine role models in the world. In the absence of of people who can hold space without judgment, female-bodied people will hold both polarities. They'll hold the receptive and they'll hold the penetrative and the holding space part. They'll do it all. So,
wow, that is super. Chanel, are you grasping that?
Yeah, but say it again. You're saying that I'm
well, let
listening.
me put it like this.
I know
Okay.
you're melting Chanel's brain over there, so that's why I got to check.
Shut up, Soriana. We fight all the time, Laurie.
I got it. I get it. Isn't that called the Dirty Dozens? Like you just like
Something.
you mac on each other or something.
No,
Yeah, he likes me. You know when the guys bully you, they like you, right?
Yeah, that's right. My mother told me that. So
this is super important.
So
you said that if there's no sacred masculine, then that absence is going to then.
So we become superwoman and we just take over.
Right. Female-bodied people will take on both roles.
Is that good though? That's not good though.
No, I'm not judging it. I'm just saying that's what happens. And then when hetero couples come together, because we're talking mostly about heteros here, when hetero people come together, a lot of times the woman has already lived in the masculine, lived in the feminine, lived in both, and like there's nothing that she needs the man for, and the man can't get anything right. And men play for points. They need to get things right. Men need to get things right. They need to get they need to feel like they're doing right by you. What?
I said some of them don't even care to get it right.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about that part. I don't know what to do about those.
I would say the parts, the ones that don't care to get it right because they don't even know they're doing it wrong. I mean, because I think you're hitting, like in this day and age, and I don't have the true stat, but I know it's a high number of how many women CEOs there are now, primarily because women were finding out that they weren't getting paid what they should get paid in corporate America. So they said, you know what, fine, I'll start my own company so I can make what I'm supposed to make. But if that woman is being CEO, if she has to deal with, person taking her for granted, I mean, if she's so busy where she hasn't had like a relationship, going out on a date, going on, one of my friends told me, she said, I haven't had sex, in 8 years, and that because she's focusing on single mom running a pretty big company. It's not small, it's like $1 million company. Not huge, but not small. I don't have time for dating. So any guy that's going to enter that space, you got a lot of stuff. And guys are just pretty straightforward and simple. They're not trying to figure out too much. Like you said, hey, I don't want to be touched like that last night. Can you do it this way? They're just like, huh? You're lucky we kissed. I'm we were talking, just going back to the actual, the intricacies of actual sex, or the not the intricacies, but the actual the components, or the actual technologies in sex, if you will. Kissing. You mean everyone can't kiss? You mean, or everyone doesn't know how to kiss? And there's great kissers, there's good kissers, there's bad kissers, and a friend told me the other day, she said, I don't kiss. She said, I've been with my husband for 20 years and we don't kiss. And I'm like, and I'm telling, and I mean this with 100% of my heart, this is all dog training. People at a certain point, they tell me everything, and which hence birthed my podcast, because I really don't even dog train anymore. I sit and I listen to stories after I do.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I do dogs. Shout out to Tyrone Scott. He does most of the hands-on sit-down, stay-come. He'll know, but 20 years later, there's this behavioral component, because I can't fix the dog if there's clearly something going on with you. And we used to say, it's not me, it's the dog. Well, it's not the human. It's not the dog, it's the human. But we didn't have techniques in place, but the relationship between human and man is so tightly knit, and that animal is going to be affected by who you are. But then if you have this, as you said, there's the sacred masculine. I love that. If the sacred masculine is eliminated, and then the female, because like, and going back to our black folks, I mean, black women have had to be the backbone. You know, look at Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman ran away 13 times. I mean, 13 missions of running from the deep south to upper Connecticut. Can you imagine that woman? By the first time she ran away by herself, she got caught. But the second time she ran away, can you, by herself, running from the deep south? People don't like to walk from the parking lot to the front of the door. This woman ran. I mean,
Right.
and she did it 13 missions, 13 round trip missions, never got caught again, had to keep a gun on her, would become a spy. So I would say that there was an absence of the sacred masculine. She became both, but then powerful women of that sort, I would say, who ends up, what man is capable of dating that woman that has had an absence of sex or had an absence of the sacred masculine?
Listen, that's a great question. It is very difficult for men to know how to navigate a woman who can navigate both. It is very difficult to navigate a powerful woman if there's a few things. One, if the man doesn't know how to deal with that, either he's going to be somewhat subservient to her, or
Which
if
she's
he
not
can
gonna
re-
like. Which she is not gonna like. Because she's not gonna
or
be a guy.
if he can really hold the masculine, she's got to be able to give that up in the bedroom.
The masculine that she has.
So pretty much being submissive.
Not necessarily, just getting back into the feminine polarity. It's not so easy. It doesn't, it's not that easy to just come home and take off a suit and like get into a negligee and say, "Yeah, I'm ready, baby." Like that's not. People have to understand the distinctions. They have to kind of understand that it takes something. It takes something to get into the receptive when you've been barking orders all day. I know because I'm that kind of a woman. So,
Right.
I've had my own company all my life. I've done everything I wanted to do. I haven't worked for many people, although I'm a very good team player. But basically, when I'm teaching, I'm holding the masculine. And somebody around me who wants to relate to me and have me really respect him has to be really in the masculine, like has to be holding space, being assertive, being like the best thing anyone could say to me is, "I got this, baby."
So
Yeah.
let me throw some couples out there, and you tell me if the sacred masculine has been gone or is it there?
Okay, I hope I know them all.
Oh, of course.
But how can you tell though?
We're going pop culture.
Yeah, we are. I'm just saying, I hope I know them though, because I'm terrible. I stopped watching the news during Vietnam. I couldn't watch that stuff anymore. So I'm not always up on pop culture. I don't know all the actors and actresses and stuff like that, but we'll try.
These are super easy.
Okay.
Melania and Donald.
He definitely holds the masculine, but I wouldn't call it the sacred masculine.
Are they even in tune with each other?
I mean, I would, but we'll just say what could have happened. He is, he's like an angry child.
Yeah.
So she's like, whatever. The guy has money. He's the president of the United States, but like, really,
Okay.
I'm done with that. Like I got that she's done.
Yeah.
B-Rock and Michelle.
That's a healthy couple.
Really?
That is one of the only, like, when I was excited about them being in the White House because he was getting laid.
Ah! We are the movement.
Like, to me, the way I looked at them was like, if the president is getting laid by someone he loves, he's less likely to cause more war in the world. I don't know that that was the truth, though.
Hey, man, hallelujah. Hallelujah.
But
all right, let's go next. Billy Clinton and Hillary.
Yeah, no. They're two men. They're two men having a relationship. She's in the masculine all the time. She doesn't have 1 ounce of softness or feminine about her. And he, he's like, I don't know if there ever was. I don't know if that, like, I don't know what their agreements were when they first met.
I love it. I don't know what their agreement was when they first met.
Like, I figured, he said, okay, let's do this together. Let's be partners. And we made a couple of babies, so we must have done it a couple of times, but I don't know about anything else. I don't know if I can go any further.
Oh. All right, next. Sean Carter, a.k.a. Jay-Z, and Beyonce Knowles.
I don't, you know what? I don't, like, I love them both, and I don't watch them. Like, they're not on my radar, so I don't know.
I'm going to ask your new student, Chanel. Chanel, what do you think?
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like it's sometimes with these couples, it's hard to see what they do behind closed doors because they're so in the media. Like, that's what they portray. My answer is never just a one answer. I don't know.
You don't know.
They've had their issues, yeah.
What do you think?
I'm gonna say Beyonce has snatched the sacred and masculine. I think Jay-Z probably is like, because I mean, you have one of the most powerful women on the planet. I mean,
with emotions and feelings, and she still loves him, and I think that he messed that up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I had a pleasure to work with when I'm not doing my podcast or dog training, I'm dancing. So I took a workshop from some of her dancers, and they were freaking intense. These were two of the most intense human beings I'd ever met in my life. I'm like, of course they're intense. They work for Beyonce. Like, they dance from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. And I had never wanted something to be over in my life as much as that. Like, I didn't even think anyone could physically work out for that long, right? So I think Beyonce, I'm going to say, she's the masculine, and probably Jay-Z's like, Jay-Z probably just he's probably like asking for sex, like, just he doesn't know when it's going to happen.
I don't think so.
He's probably like, Beyonce's doing her thing. All right, let's move forward. I got another. I just had someone came in my mind. I lost it that fast. They'll come back. Anyway, that was fun to ask those questions. Before we end though, Laura, I cannot believe, because we were going on almost an hour and 30 minutes. And I know you have to, I went way over my allotted time.
No, I'm good though. I'm good because we're in 2 different time zones, so I'm still good.
So I want to leave people on some, and I just want to point one thing out that has nothing to do with anything other than just us vibing and connecting, is that we are low-key twinning right now. You have on the beautiful royal blue halter, and I have on my blue rose shirt, and you have on the matching signature Laurie Handler's glasses.
Red glasses.
He's such a handful.
No, but I thought that as soon as I got on with you, I thought, well, this is a blue dress. I thought, wow, I'm wearing a blue dress and red glasses. You're wearing a blue and red shirt. And I'm thinking, I want that shirt.
Your sexual is pulling me towards you. I can feel like, you can wear it today. Let my hands guide me. So for people that
I want to come. Wait, I want to come back to something that we said earlier that we didn't come back to, and that is that sex is related to money.
Yes.
So I want to talk about that for a minute because I think it's really important that people hear this. If you are familiar at all with the chakra system in the body, like the Hindu system of the energy centers in the body.
Yes.
Center number 1 is where you sit. It's your anus, your ass, your tailbone. And that it has to do with safety and security, the issues.
Mm-hmm.
And what decade you were born into, your parents, your religion, your ethnicity, all that stuff that really affects your safety and security in the world and what was going on in the world in the decade that you were born. So that's chakra 1. Chakra 2 has to do with creation, creativity, pleasure, and pain. That's sex. So it's pleasure, and do you have are you allowed, do you have permission for pleasure? And also pain, like anything that happened that was traumatizing, is stored in 1 or 2. The memories. And also you've heard the expression tight ass.
Yeah.
And that means when somebody's tight about money, tight about giving, tight about expression, whatever it is. So those 2 centers, the issues there have got to get resolved for a person to be able to be abundant. Like if you had messages, money is the root of all evil, money is this, money is that, you are tight there in number 1. And in 2, in your sex, if you're holding on to pain and you're not getting it resolved, like you're not working through those emotions, then you can't be that creative.
Wow.
Now, maybe the way you work it out is through creation, through painting or music or whatever, or comedy. But those 2 things, those 2 areas of the body, they store cellular memories about all of it. And those are issues that people need to work out. And that's why they tell you their issues when you come to train their dog. 1, you're safe. You're not the boss, the landlord, you're the guy who loves animals. So there are certain people in the world that you got to love. Dog trainers, veterinarians, firemen. Like those are people who save beautiful creatures. They have jobs that, so anyway, people tell you their issues because you're safe to them. And if they don't work out those issues, it's very difficult for them to give and receive. And that's energy. So that could be giving love, giving sex, or giving and making money and spending money. So those issues are really important, and they're housed in those 2 parts of the body where there could be pleasure, where there could be.
Wow. You just broke a whole bunch down.
I wanted to because we said it early and that we never came back to it, and
You're absolutely right.
really important. It's really important. Not to mention that when you have sex, it releases dopamine, endorphins, serotonin, and oxytocin in the body, which the body needs and the brain needs. So sex is really critical and important to the healthy functioning of the body. But those early childhood issues and those early things, those early messages have to be resolved for people to be able to be really abundant and really creative and happy. Look, Donald Trump's got a lot of money, but he's not a happy guy.
He ain't getting it.
He's an angry MF,
Well, which I thought about, Monica Lewinsky saved the world because her and Billy Clinton had a full-out relationship. That's my favorite. I love sex education. I just love relationship education. And when you research on Monica Lewinsky, a lot of people don't realize that they had a full-out relationship. Like they had to move her out of the White House This was going on for months, like 4 or 5 months. And who knows what Billy would have like? We really didn't have anything major wars or nothing going on. Billy Clinton period was like some of the best periods that we ever had. You know, he clearly was getting it, and he was doing all his little freaky stuff that, you know, it would later come out in the Kenneth Starr report. You know, but yeah, I mean, I think that Donald Trump, you know, he needs to get a little something. And he's gonna calm down and relax. He can be, at least we'll see something. The possible.
What if he's getting some and still is an a-hole?
I can see that too. He's just born an a-hole.
Yeah, just not a happy guy. Has money, but isn't it like whatever? I just think it's really critical to people that if we look, I'm just gonna leave some people call this a Laurieism, and I'm gonna leave you with this Laurieism, which is if we were not meant to have pleasure, we would have been born in metal, glass, or wood. But we were born in skin.
To feel.
Skin is the largest sensory organ. We would have been born in something that doesn't feel if we were not meant to have pleasure.
And lots of it.
Lots of it.
Lots of it. What copious amounts of it. Because you think about it, why not? I mean, if it makes you feel good, you're not hurting anybody. I mean, find someone you love, because then that's going to carry over to your dog. It's going to carry over to the cats. It's going to carry over to your children. It's going to carry over to all aspects. Everybody needs somebody. I mean,
that's right.
Great grandmother used to say that, like, the worst thing out there is for you to be alone. I mean, she's like, love your family, because there's people out there that truly don't have anybody. You know, I'm talking about people that don't have family members, no one. They're out here living their life alone. And so this conversation today was so important, Laura. You just gave us so many mind explosions and aha moments, because a lot of times people are just thinking sex, you know, the intercourse component of it, which that's a whole, we can talk about. We haven't even gotten to that. That's a whole nother show and episode as far as actual the actual components of having sex, the actual physicality. Right. But all the spiritual component, you know, the mental component, the emotional component, like you said, that makes sense. With money, you're tight with the money, you're not abundant, you're not a giver. How can you be in love with someone if you don't give? How can you be this great lover if you're not you think about that, like some of our greatest people that are out there, you know, Jeff Bezos, richest man in the world with relationship issues. just had this crazy, huge, mega divorce. Steve Jobs, crazy, mega, huge divorce. I mean, the Quincy Jones documentary, here's one of the music moguls of all times. And at the end of the documentary, they said, what's the biggest challenge you ever had? You know what he said? Just women. I could never figure it out. That's why I've been married.
Right. I saw it, and I was very sad about that. It was really sad. Like
documentary.
He's given so much to so many people.
And that was the closing shot. That was the closing shot too. They asked him, what was the most difficult thing you've done?
Exactly.
And he
exactly. And you know the same thing about there was another great music documentary about I forget the guy who he produced Whitney Houston, and he produced a lot of other people.
Davis.
Oh yes, and he also couldn't keep a relationship.
And you know what's interesting? When I was in the music industry, I met him. And shout out to Clive Davis. He's a beast, mogul. Like
amazing.
Created. I mean, there'd be no Puff Daddy. There'd be no Babyface. No Whitney Houston. A lot of people wouldn't even exist. But I met him. Just a very intense, mean little man. Just like
really,
people were just afraid of him. I had never met. I was like, I don't know, 19 at the time. I didn't know what the big deal was, like, until I saw other people afraid of this person. And I think that in the process of, like, you know, I'm going to say the opposite of, like, men lose the sacred feminine. You mean, like, you can get so to the point where you're so hardened and so focused and driven on things that you become scary, you become mean, you become unbalanced. Same thing opposite with women. You know,
Exactly.
it become all consuming where it's impossible. And then, you know, that's the beautiful thing. I feel that like God has given us dogs, you know, because there's 65 million dogs in the United States of America. Of that, every year, 800,000 are going to critically injure a human. You know, and if you analyze every one of those dog bite cases of that 800,000 dogs, and when I say critically injured, I'm talking about needing reconstructive surgery. It's about like
Wow.
your face
Your
ripped off,
face.
your throat ripped off, hand ripped. Something is ripped off that needs reconstructive surgery. I'm talking about, put it in perspective, we spend $1.5 billion a year on dog bites in some shape, way, and form. Most of the surgeries. But I'm saying that is related to the fact that all those have to do with some unbalance in that person's life with their dog, and the dog finally just manifests what you've been, which is part of the reason why Trump doesn't have a dog. I mean, because it was, you remember Barney, George W. Bush's dog?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
What kind of dog was it?
Yeah.
A Scotty Terrier. Like, that freaking dog was always biting people.
Aw.
Remember when Barney bit the reporter? Like, attacked? Barney was like the most aggressive first dog in the White House. Like, this little 20-pound dog is attacking people. which I just thought, like, no one's made the comparison from a behavioral standpoint. The dog
He needs some training.
Of course, we went and pulled up Iraq and Afghanistan. There were no weapons of mass destruction because, like, between him and Cheney, they were like literally some of the most violent human beings in the. But I'm like, I don't think old Lauren was giving no W, no booty. You know what I mean? Like, the two don't even connect. You mean when you think about it,
right.
like, you can't. It's like when you in the opposite, you see some people that are just like, they clearly get like the stereotypical your Jewish brother who everyone loves, Lenny Kravitz. Like, like he's getting too much sex. He's way too calm. He's too relaxed. Everyone loves him. He's the only human being that everyone loves. You never hear anyone talking bad about Lenny Kravitz. Everyone wants to hang out. Like, I met him once. I'm like, wow, you're just a beautiful human being. Like, you want to stare at him, right? He has nothing but beautiful women around him. I mean, my former boss, who I loved, also Prince. I can say that now because he's not here. We refer to him as the artist.
Right.
Because you might not know what I was talking about. The artist, men and women, because he embodied masculine and feminine.
Yes, he did.
People like he was no joke. You could not, it was you weren't afraid of him, but you definitely weren't fucking around. You made sure you did the right thing. But at the same time, he was super freaking cool and he loved human beings. He was super giving. And I think that's where the moral of this story, this conversation, we're trying to find a balance between the two. What would you say? What are some things that, outside of someone calling you, because this is what you do for a living, but what could we leave people with today to at least start that journey of discovering who they are?
Well, it's a big topic. I would just say that I'll speak about it. My partner and I teach people three thresholds. The first threshold is self-love. The second threshold is love of the other. And then the third threshold is love that manifests. So I say you have to start here.
Self-love,
love of the other,
And
love that manifests.
And love that manifests.
And so I would say that you have to start with self-love. You have to start right here. This is where it matters. And then from here, you radiate it out.
Whew.
And if you don't feel that, if you feel self-hate, if you feel disdain about yourself, if you feel insecure, you can find help for that. And people can call me, people can write to me, they can go to lauriehandlers.com, and if I can't help them, I can send them to some people who can help them. And if they have dogs, I'm going to send them to you, and then I'm going to tell them that along the way, they're going to come to you for help too.
They're going to end up selling your whole life in the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another way that you changed my life, I totally kidnapped a phrase that you told me, and I've been using it.
What's that?
The human animal.
Yeah.
I thought about that. I'm like naming a company that because you think about it, because we're just like the dogs base everything on instinct and scent. We do too at the end of the day. You mean like everyone needs that self-love, because if you love on yourself, you don't really have time to go protest. You're not going to be in certain situations. You mean you're going to tell people, like for all my black folks out there, I mean, I tell the story so much, it's almost boring now, but 3 white cops, I don't know where they came from. They rode out of nowhere, had me thrown up against the fence, got my whole jacket up. And I just remember, and I was on the phone with my girlfriend at the time. I had my little earbuds in, so they couldn't even see I was on the phone. I was just like, hey, relax. It's all good. And I promise you, I can't even make this up. They stepped back like this. And I was just like, hey, I'm the alderman. I'm just dropping my voice. I'm like low key. I'm fucking with them. Like I want to hug them or something. I'm like, relax. And they stepped back. I pulled out a business card. They grabbed it and they ran. Like I'm like running. I'm like, oh hell no. Then I went into like, because I wanted to catch their driver's license. I wanted to catch the license plates. But I feel like we have this power over people. We have a power over ourselves. We just really are into ourselves and love, because it's just the manifestation, because it's going to carry over to. I tell people you can transfer that energy through your leash. I mean, the dog can feel it, because it's going right. It's going right to their neck. It's going right to whatever's in your body is moving your hands. It's going right to their neck. That's why dogs fight, and they move forward, because it's whatever is happening. And that's why it's so important what you're saying. I love that. Love yourself first, that self-love. But why is it so hard for people? A lot of people struggle with that self-love. They'll do it. They'll help everyone else, but they won't help themselves.
Yeah, that's a whole nother, we have to save that for another show. I don't know why. All I know is that they have to do it. They have to do it. If I don't come from a full well, I can't give you any water from my well. I can't love you if I don't love myself. It's pretense.
I can't love you if I don't love myself. That sounds like
I can't.
Song somewhere. That's someone's song somewhere.
I can't. If it's not, we could write one, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. But I do. You're reminding me of things, because you're talking about the police, and I'm thinking about things with dogs. I've had some experiences with dogs where they tried to attack me, and I took charge of them, and they didn't bite me. You did the same thing I did, only I did it with dogs. You did it with police.
And that's what makes me super sad, because I mean, I have this weird philosophy that I think is just a thing that goes back to white men have had the ability to touch and grab and have sex with black men for so many years through slavery. I mean, so here's 3 white men that want to grab my shirt and throw it up in the air. I mean, but what they've never experienced was like, I just love myself. I love Mr. Toriano. He's a great person. So I'm just like, relax.
Calm down.
Relax. It's all good. Relax. You just like, what do you want? I mean, I can't even make this up.
And if you could think of so many people who can rechannel energy like that with all these situations that we're facing, like I think we'll have half of the drama that we have that goes on in this world.
And you can't.
Because so many people are so uptight, and it's like, no, just relax. Like, I don't need to fire my bomb after you fire yours. It's gonna be one big explosion. Like, it doesn't resolve anything.
Well, it's like you said, Laurie, people don't know how to fight. Like,
Yeah.
I interrupted a text war yesterday where my friend received this massive 2-page text, and then she's just upset, and she's like over there. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I gotta respond to this text. I'm like, why? What are you doing? I'm like, oh, don't do it. I didn't know what the text was. I just saw a finger just, and just like the scrunchy face. I was like, dude, just call her up. Don't text.
Thank you. Wait, I'm giving you the bell for that. There are things you should not use text for.
I hate
You
text.
should not have a conversation in text. You should only say, I'll be 5 minutes late. I'm on my way. I'll pick up some milk. Those are the things you should say in text. You should not say, and by the way, blah, 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 blah. That should not be in text. And you should say to people, this is not a text. This is not a text. This is a conversation. I'm calling you.
I'm calling you. Ooh, I interrupt. I'm an anti. Don't just call me. If I get a text, an upset text, I call. That's the worst though, when you call someone after they sent you a novel, a whole soliloquy, and they don't pick up. I'm like, dude, you just sent me literally a 5-page text. And you're not.
And so many people can misinterpret what you're saying, you know, like sometimes I'm guilty of it. I'll send a text because it's like, at some point it's like, I'm going to let you hear what I'm saying. And then if you want to call, we can call, but at least you saw and read what I'm feeling.
But it can be misinterpreted, Chanelli. You got to get them on the phone. You can't. It's like what Laurie said before. People don't know how to, and now with electronic communications, I mean, I see business people do it. I'm just like, dude, don't text me. Don't email me. Like, don't just call. I mean, and actually, if it's really serious, we need to meet. Like, if it's like,
that's right. That's right.
If it's that serious, it should be like, hey, we need to talk. Or we need to meet in person, face to face.
That's right. I need to see your face.
Yeah, that's really that. Yeah, that's what I used to say. I need to lay eyes on you. Got to see your face, because most of our issues really are just like what you said earlier. I love that. People don't know how to fight, and it is real easy to say, all right, fuck it, you know, screw that person, versus towards the fire and saying, hey, let's have a real one-on-one conversation to resolve it. And then even if you don't resolve it with them, well, even if you kick them out your life, even if you move on, all you did was add one more conflict that you didn't learn how to resolve. And then that's going to repeat itself. You're going to have to learn how to resolve it at some point in time.
My partner and I feel that fighting is ordinary. And if you want to really be extraordinary at love, you have to return to love and not fight.
Yes. And if you do it in a healthy way.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, so it sounds like we have 20 more subjects we could open at any time, which I'm happy to come back and do with you.
So before I let you go, this was our September series that we rocked and rolled. Everyone from September is coming back in February. So can we bring out, and I want to bring you back specifically on Valentine's Day.
Ooh, I'm going to be in Iceland.
Wait, hold on now. You just made.
I'm going to be in Iceland doing a Valentine's Day course.
You're not bringing me?
You're welcome to come.
For real? Don't say that.
Sure.
All right, music back.
We're doing Extraordinary Lovers Experience in Iceland on February 13th and 14th.
For real?
Uh-huh.
Ooh, goals.
It's wonderful if you want to go. I don't know if you've ever been there or not. I've been there twice. It's amazing. It's an amazing place. Winter or summer, it doesn't matter. It's wonderful.
I want to go to some Iceland. I'm about to put that on my little chart. Hey, Rejoice, tickets to Iceland, need them. Let's do this. But
that would be awesome.
That'd be sick. That's a way. Hey, I like this. I'm gonna leave people on this from me. I asked about Valentine's Day for a specific reason. I'm gonna make that my reason because you tell me about Iceland.
I want to go. I want to go. That's on my bucket list.
Iceland.
Okay, great. It's awesome. It's really awesome.
So I'm saying it right here so people can hold me responsible. Wolfkeeper live from Iceland on Valentine's Day. Catch me.
Okay.
Boom. Boom.
So Rihanna, you taking me with you?
I got you.
Since you like the bully? Okay.
Got you. There's gifts and all this. All right. Yay. So thank you all for tuning in. Laurie Handlers, where can they find you? Where's the best place to reach out to you?
The best place is lauriehandlers.com. And I could spell it LaurieHandlers.com. If they go there and they do a / and they type in after that unknown, they can get a free gift of moving in the unknown, learning how to love in the unknown. They can get a lesson from me. I think it's really important to move from the things we know to embrace the things we don't know.
Amen. I love that.
Me too.
So it's called lauriehandlers.com / unknown, and they'll get a lesson from me.
And we're going to share all your information on my Facebook. You all please reshare this podcast. Laurie, thank you. I'm sending you a big old heart.
Thank you
so much, Laurie. So much learned today.
Thank you, Chanel. And thank you, Rejoice.
Thank you all. Team. Thank you to Dana Humphrey, the most amazing human being out there.
Yep.
Yeah, Dana.
Actually, Dana Humphrey, I'm going to be in New York with Dana Humphrey on November 21st. So I definitely got to connect with you when you're out there.
Beautiful. No, I live in Phoenix now.
Oh, that's right. You're in Phoenix.
I'm not in New York anymore, but when I'm in New York, I see Dana. I just won't be there then.
Shame on you leaving us in the cold Midwest, East West.
I'm sorry.
That's why you're up there shining. You're about to go play in some sun. I was wondering, I was like,
we still got a little bit of good weather over here.
No, that's why I can wear this dress. I can wear this dress year round because I live in Phoenix.
That's why you're over
there. Yeah.
Cool. All right, thank you.
Okay.
I'll see you soon. Peace.
Thank you. Thank you so much.